Hello and welcome to Profiles in Risk. This is your long-haired hippie host, Tony Cañas. And today I have with me Jessica Chitwood Long, who is the president at Commercial Insurance Partner. Jessica, how are you today?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
Awesome. I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for agreeing to come on the podcast. So today's episode is a career episode, not an InsurTech episode, and it'll be an interesting one, kind of a different one. Okay, so which is why at the beginning I said you're long-haired hippie host, because my long hair is unusual for a male in our industry. It's taken me a long time to get to the point where I can get away with it. And I connected with Jessica because she's also not a very traditional insurance people. So Jessica, tell us your career story. How did you fall into this industry? The mic's yours.
Absolutely, yeah. Like a lot of my favorite people in insurance, completely by accident. I think some of the people that have really come in, especially recently, and shaken things up have been fairly new to it and come from something completely different. So just to kind of tell you where I started, my very first big kid job, I started working in call centers. And that's going to play a part in what we do today. But my first job was AOL, to date myself just a little bit. And I started learning about all of the, workforce management and all of the forecasting and things that go into managing a large call center. I went from there into banking after AOL sent everything overseas. And I started, I'm in Oklahoma, and it's a very conservative area, and I am queer. So whenever I first started at that bank, even though I wasn't customer facing, I had to hide my tattoos. I had to wear a turtleneck. I had to put a Band-Aid over my nose. I was told that I could not mention that I had a wife on the phone calls that I was on. If they were talking about their family, I could not mention that I had a female partner, and I could not have pictures of my wife on my desk.
And your coworkers were allowed to talk about their wives if they were heterosexual.
Absolutely.
Okay, and you couldn't even have a picture. Okay, continue.
I couldn't have a picture, even though it was a badge in office, and I was only speaking on the phone to our customers. During that time, I also have to tell you that I have a GED. I was homeschooled and came from a very religious background. We were not allowed to go to public schools, and so I did not have a formal education. It held me back in the banking world for quite a while until I just decided it wasn't going to. So I pushed forward. I got jobs that I absolutely was not qualified for on paper, but pushed through and finally got an interview. I became the senior mediation coordinator, and I did that for many years. But I had this dream, and what I was tired of is I was tired of somebody telling me that I was inappropriate by just being myself.
Your whole life, growing up in a religious family in Oklahoma, and then in a conservative employer in a conservative area. That's exhausting.
It is exhausting. But when you're young and undereducated and have a drive, you put up with a lot. And I had a high tolerance at that time for people being abusive to me.
My girlfriend, the first thing she would ask is because she has a physical disability, so she's hit her head on many walls along the way, and she's just ran right through them. But she would ask, why stay in Oklahoma, right? If Oklahoma is that conservative and you're that much of a mismatch for the area, why stay in Oklahoma?
That's a great question. I believe immersion therapy is the best therapy. And the only way that these people were going to change is by seeing me.
That is very true.
And seeing my family.
Yes, that is 100% true. If all the people who don't fit the mold, who are not uh, heterosexual, white, Christian, Protestants, uh, leave the area because they hit walls, then it'll never change. You're absolutely right. But it's
And
hard work to change it.
I'm stubborn.
Eh,
I'm
Okay.
persistent. So
Okay.
so I had this dream that I was going to have my freedom, even though I had a great salary job. You know, I mean, I was doing well, and my wife thought I had lost my mind, because I left that, and my dad was a car salesman. And so around 30 years old, I probably lost my mind and quit my, steady job and went 100% commission in the automotive industry, just like my dad did.
Okay.
Joined my brothers, and I went to go work in car lots. And so it was, I have this annoying superpower where I can't walk past an inefficiency and not try to find a solution, even if it's not my problem
And
necessarily, which is what's gotten me in trouble.
and car lots are very macho environments, if I'm not mistaken. Like
Yes.
I had a male gay friend who worked at a car lot in San Francisco of all places, and even there he felt like he had to hide the fact that he was gay.
Yes. Well, I had made the decision. I have come out of this very conservative environment, and I am going to be unapologetically who I am. And if they don't want to buy a car from me because I'm gay, then I don't want to sell them one. So I hit the ground running, and I doubled my salary in the first year, and continued to do so for 5 years. And I sat at those desks with those 90-year-old straight, cis white men. And when they talked about their family, I talked about mine. And even though the cringe on their face or the look of shock definitely made my heart stop in the beginning, I never let it show on my face, and I kept going, and I just kept talking. And some of them would talk to me and they would say, I've never had anybody tell me that before. And I would tell them, if you don't want to buy a car from me because I have a wife, I don't want to sell you one. And I never lost a car deal. So I sold an average of 30 cars a month. Every month, the average car salesman sells 8 to 10, 8 to 12 maybe across the nation. And so I was high performing, and I did it unapologetically.
Okay. So I'm guessing. So you're running an insurance agency now. So I'm guessing you realized, with how good of a salesperson I am, I should be like, insurance has the advantage of renewals, which cars don't have.
And well, funny enough, that's not exactly how I got into it. I see that now. So I went from there, and while I was working at the car lot, we have what they call a business development center, call center functionality, where we're getting leads just like in any industry, and we weren't converting them at the highest level that we could. And that's where I come in, because
And an efficiency you don't like. Yeah.
That's right. I couldn't watch it. And so we started doing that, me and a partner. We were doing that together at the car lot we were at, and then started branching out to other car lots. And then we started a marketing company, and started setting up these business development centers all across the country. And it was all about lead conversion. You can have as many leads as you possibly can handle, but if you're not converting them at a high rate, you are wasting money. The cost of acquisition is our largest cost. And so that's where a lot of my theories started being developed in the automotive industry. And we did that for many years, and we did really well in the automotive space. And one of our outside salesmen, and I was tired. Let me tell you, I was tired. I remember one of our trips, it was 5 states in 3 days, 6 stores, coming in, setting up these call centers, training them on our theory, implementing the technology we were using. It was mind-boggling just how tired I was. And one of our outside salesmen met a brokerage and how to have a connection with a brokerage. And so we got a marketing opportunity at a brokerage. And so my partner said, "You are tired of the car industry." And I said, "Yes, I am." And he said, "You need the banker hours that your wife has. So go, go do this for a little bit, take a break." And I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I had never even purchased an insurance policy. My wife took care of that. My wife was a bank, she was with Bank of America for 17 years. Like, I fish out of water.
This is probably a good thing, because people who have gone through the painful process of buying an insurance product don't want to work in insurance.
Yeah, right.
So
In
this
fact,
is actually
probably would have just skipped the whole thing.
Exactly. The I can't remember the saying, but the bliss of blindness in this case, like not knowing how bad it was, because talk about inefficiencies. So anyway.
Oh, yeah. So I go to this brokerage and I'm sitting across from these brilliant insurance minds. 20 years they've been doing this. And I've just started my first day. I've got 2 agents that are coming with me from the automotive side. We know nothing. And I'm writing down words I just have to look up the definition to and shaking my head like I know what they're talking about. And I have no idea. I don't even know what general liability is.
But by the way, I want to take a quick pause here. For the listeners, if you are brand new to the industry, or if you're listening to this episode, you found it through a completely non-insurance channel because somebody loved it so much that they sent it to you, which I can totally get if that happens. Insurance Nerds, insnerds.com, click on resources, click on the world's simplest insurance glossary. It's designed specifically for this. It defines 150 some insurance terms in simple English, the 2,000 most common words in the language. So check it out. Anyway, continue.
Oh, I wish I would have known that. But so I quickly determined that I was going to have to build a technology to download their brains and make sure, as we were filling this pipeline with prospects, and these are all commercial, this is commercial insurance. So as we were filling the pipeline with these prospective customers, I was going to need to figure out appetite and make the same decision, not myself even, but these new agents that I'm bringing in, and they weren't insurance agents, they were business developments that are call center agents, that they were going to make the same decision as these 20-year vets every single time. So our job was to identify opportunities and identify placement. And that's really where we started picking up speed. So we started identifying the different attributes of each industry that would make it a fit. So they had an internal appetite that they were focused on, and then we started utilizing the direct sales centers at the carriers. So Liberty Mutual was our very first one that we started using. And we started determining things like a church that's not in New York, that doesn't have a daycare, that doesn't need commercial auto, is like printing money when you send it over there. And we did that for quite a few months until we got a call that said you have the #1 conversion rate to a sold policy, from quote, sold in the nation, with me and 2 people. And even still to this day, we are at 45% conversion rate of everything we've ever sent over to Liberty Mutual has bound in a policy with their direct sales center. That is absolutely attributed to a number of things, but one of the most important things I would say is that we have a wonderful relationship with them, and we truly understand appetite. And so I was asked, what makes you different, right? How are you able to do this when other people are half of this, right? And that's what the goal is half of what you're doing. And I really had to look and think about that. And we took what we knew from the automotive industry, which is the road to the sale. And we talk about that every day in automotive, and we talk about that every day at Commercial Insurance Partner. And the first step on the road to the sale, and particularly in commercial insurance, is make a connection. Nobody buys anything from anybody that they don't like. And it's so easy in commercial insurance because you're talking to someone about something that they are absolutely passionate about. This is their business.
Their business, yeah.
This is their livelihoods. And we're
Mhm.
talking to small business, which is just one of the most beautiful conversations you're going to have.
Mhm. Yeah.
This is their life work.
They run a bakery not because they love running a business, because they love baking.
That
And
is
insurance is a
absolutely
headache
right.
that they want to avoid as much as possible. But if you can get them talking about why they started a bakery.
Oh, absolutely. And they're going to give you the pre-underwriting. I mean, I could give my people a list of questions and they could fire them off like robots. But what customers want is to have a business owner to business owner conversation like you and I are having right now. Let's have a consultative conversation. Let's actually educate them on what they need, because they don't know, particularly in small business.
So commercial insurance partner is not an agency. I thought you
No.
guys were an agency. This is Tony's bad research. I
I
do this all the
understand.
time.
No, we're unique. We're unique.
So you guys offer this service to other agents to help them train their people on how to close a lot higher percentage.
It's not that, it's that we offer lead management. So they might have a large number of leads. Say your internal agency has a revenue threshold that you're wanting to write, $500 in revenue is your goal, or you have leads that fall out of appetite for you. We're able to monetize those, or monetize micro business, utilizing the direct sales centers.
Okay.
We will send your baker that just got started making $15,000 a year, salsa maker, right, over to Liberty, find that policy on your agency code. So we are managing your leads for you.
So dear mid-sized agency who is really good at middle market business, the stuff that comes in that is smaller than whatever threshold you don't like to deal with, we are very, very, very good at converting it for you for a fee.
Correct. And we're able to get them to the carrier that you probably would have submitted them to anyway, except that an agent doesn't have to touch it on your side.
Yeah,
and you don't have to service it, right?
Small commercial insurance is very profitable, but you have, what I mean by it's very profitable is the loss ratio is very low if underwritten properly, if pre-underwritten properly. The problem is if your agency is designed for the white glove treatment of middle market, it is not profitable to do that with small. And I want to say nobody has figured out how to do a small commercial well, and it's not true, but you need efficiencies. So it sounds like you're marrying
an efficiency play.
So it sounds like you're marrying efficiency in a very human way.
That's right.
Which makes perfect sense why you would have a super high close ratio. That is fantastic. So you're open to partner with any commercial alliance brokerage that needs help in that. And when I say any, let's be super clear for the listeners. If you call Jessica and then don't like her lifestyle, she's going to walk away from you. Let's be clear on that.
That is true. I have definitely come to the point in my career where I one, don't have to sell people things they don't need, and two, choose my partners like I do my wife.
I understood that right away, that you're going to
long-term partners. Yeah.
But basically, the partners are brokerages that do a lot of commercial lines, who are open-minded to the idea that small commercial could be done more efficiently.
Correct.
But it's not a pure tech play.
Right. Well, but as we've evolved, we have worked with carriers, and there are a lot of leads that fall out of appetite. No one is going to write everything.
100%, yes.
But everyone has a friend that will. And we're the connector that will connect them. So say you have a trucking lead that comes in. I mean, if anybody has tough business,
Mm-hmm.
Guess who's got a friend in trucking that will write a first-time trucker just getting started, give them an amazing experience, and do it efficiently? I do, right? So we are the partner, not just to the consumer, but to the carriers and to the brokerages. We're connecting all three of those people, all three of those entities, and connecting them to each other as well.
Okay. And how long have you been running this company now?
So we started in October of 2019.
Okay, so a little over 2 years. Okay. Okay. So kind of going back to your personal story.
Yeah.
So the post, and apparently according to LinkedIn, it was a month ago. So and what I'll do in when I edit is I will replace my image for the next couple of minutes with the post so that people
Okay.
can see it with their own eyes. But I do want to go ahead and read it for the people that are watching that are listening to this on the audio only version, not on YouTube. Okay, so basically your post said what they told me, and then it has a bunch of quotes. You'll never get a job with all those tattoos. Don't talk about your wife to customers. Take that piercing out. It is unprofessional. Your nose piercing, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Your educational background disqualifies you from this position. Your GED and yeah. Uh, a 30 to 40% close rate is good. Oh, I skipped one. That is the way things have always been done. No need to change it. The most dangerous line in business. Okay. And yet to this day, you're running a 74% close rate. And not only that, but you can help my agency do that for small business. And I can remember, because we were not connected at the time. So I can remember who among my connections reacted to it or commented on it. And I immediately went like, holy crap, this is awesome. And that's how we connected. So an absolutely awesome post. It's had 1,780 reactions and 162 comments, which is impressive, especially because you don't have a million connections on LinkedIn.
No,
Like
I had 139 when this
before.
started.
So when you started, or when this post went live a month ago?
When this post went live.
So a month ago, you had 139 LinkedIn connections. You've never focused on growing your LinkedIn, and today you're sitting at 703.
Yeah, and it's over 130,000 views,
Okay.
which
So,
it was amazing. Like I didn't expect it at all.
so clearly, what this tells me is you struck a nerve at the right time. Our industry, and when I say our industry, I don't mean the leadership. What I mean is the younger kids and the diverse kids, and all of us who at the beginning or today felt or feel like we don't fit here, right? The long hair weirdo, who I'm not reflected in the leadership. Um, uh, Saw something in this, and we all had to connect with you and figure out what was going on. I'm so glad that I invited you on the podcast. What advice do you have for and you've obviously you didn't do well, you did in the corporate side in banking first, and then you kind of did your own thing in insurance. But what advice do you have for the young kids who fall into insurance? And a kid is anybody younger than me. I'm 39. I'm gonna be 39 in 2 months. So all those kids who have fallen into insurance by accident, whether it's in the carrier or the agency space, whether they have a college degree or not, and they are not your white cisgendered straight male, yeah, right? Or they're covered in tattoos or whatever. They are just not cut from the same cloth as our leaders were. What advice do you have for them?
You know, when I was 25, I went in for the interview at the bank that I was not qualified for. And I told them this. I said, conservatism and professionalism are two different words that have two different meanings. And just because you don't find me conservative doesn't make me unprofessional.
And you would basically tell that to your leader when they're telling you you're no strings unprofessional.
I did. And I got the job.
Oh, in the interview, it wasn't even like a one-on-one.
This was the question to me. They said, and mind you, I had a half-shaved head.
You've gotten a little more conservative with age when it comes to your
definitely It was 10 years ago. I had shaved half of my head, and he walked up to me and said, "What did you do?" Mind you, I was the top performer for like 18 months, so I mean, what were they really gonna say, you know? And I said, I conservatively only shaved half of my head. There are men walking around here with completely shaved heads, and I think you should start there. So I mean, I was mouthy. I was 25.
You called it, yeah. So being mouthy is dangerous, but if you have the performance and you're calling them out on something you were right on, right? You're quietly, without using the word sexism, although in your case you might have actually used it, without being like that sexist comment, because you're not saying anything to the guys who have shaved heads. You pointed it out. So how did he react?
Oh, I mean, he rolled his eyes and walked away, but he gave me a position months later, because my performance stood for itself. So what I would tell someone that's young, I would speak to them and say, don't give up. It gets better. Keep pushing. As long as we keep investing, it will get better. And it has gotten better. And it's gotten so substantially better in my life because I didn't give up and because I didn't back down. Don't back down. Bring your whole self to work every single day, and work on your skills. Be irreplaceable. In your skills, be irreplaceable, and the other is going to come about. But who I would speak to before I would speak to anybody would be the leaders. Do the DEI training. Stop the discrimination for looks and gender and sexuality. That's the people that can make the biggest difference are the people in leadership. Yep. The fact that I now own a company that I know that my people can come to work every single day as they are, with pink hair, with piercings. One of my girls came in the other day, she had one pink eyebrow and one purple eyebrow. It did not change her performance when she was on the call. She felt more powerful in her moment
and
on that call.
Especially if the job is 100% phone, they're not even seeing you. It's like making you wear a suit to work in the call center. It just makes absolutely zero sense. Now, there is some argument that with some customers, and you're dealing with them in person, if you're not an incredible salesperson like Jessica, it'll be harder, right? If you don't look the way they expect you to look. But on the phone, there's just no excuse.
No. And I would say, I don't look or speak. I mean, I can, and that is another thing I want to say regarding a lot. I do stand in a lot of privilege for the fact that I can wear a high-necked shirt and take out my piercing and take off my rainbow watch, right? And not mention my wife, and I can sink right into the crowd.
Yeah, if you want to, you have the ability. My girlfriend who uses a wheelchair, once she's in person, there's no hiding it, right? No. If you're Black in Arkansas,
that's right.
There's no hiding it, right? So you're absolutely right. Yeah.
But I have to fight. I have to fight for myself. But I'm really, I'm fighting. We have to leave the ladder down as we go along. Everything I do today is about making it so that my daughter has less to face just like the women who came before me, and just like the people that came before me, and the queer women that came before me. And we have to continue to do this for our children and that generation, and for the people who are marginalized today. But I do acknowledge absolutely that I stand in privilege, and I will use that privilege to provide a safe place for as many people as I possibly can and leave that ladder down in the
I
insurance industry. Even though I might be somewhat of a trailblazer today, like I said, I might be the first lesbian, heavily tattooed, pierced president in the group, but I won't be the last, because the next time someone looks like me and comes in with a great idea, they're going to be 1,000 times more likely to listen to them because they've listened to me. And I've showed them success and I've made them money, right?
and ultimately, ultimately, you said something very important at the end. You made them money, and ultimately, in many cases, that's all they care about. All the other biases they have, whether they're aware, whether they're open biases that they've always embraced, or whether it's an unseen bias, or what's the word, a bias they're not even aware of. I can't remember the exact term right
Correct.
now.
Yeah.
And unconscious, whether it's an unconscious bias. Yeah, you were successful, you made the money, uh, you've made it, you've opened the door for the next person. Um, I my dad was visiting this weekend from Costa Rica, where I'm from. My dad is a very jovial, very nice guy, but he's 63 and he's from Costa Rica, right? Locally, he's not actively Catholic, like most of Costa Ricans, like the rest of the family, but he is a product of his generation. And so I was the first time that he was visiting me since I've lived in Atlanta. I visited him many times. He's met Renee, all good, but uh, Atlanta is a 60% Black city, right? Uh, for my dad, that's a bit different, so to speak, right? Because he's a member in his generation, and Costa Rica. There's a definite bias against African Americans. So Renee, my girlfriend, was asking me about that before he came, and I said, yeah, he makes inappropriate jokes, and I do my best to educate him on it. Uh, but ultimately, he's a businessman and a big partier, and ultimately, if he has business partners who are Black, so he makes the jokes, but ultimately, in his mind, the only color that matters is green. And if they can either make him money, or if they sit down and have a drink with him because he's a partier, ultimately he moves on. We'll keep working on the inappropriate jokes, right? And I think that's the case for a significant amount of the people that have biases. Not all of them, right? Not all of them, as the last 4 years, 5 years have shown us. Clearly, there are some that are much more serious than that.
Right.
But what I wanted to really, um, if if you outperform, yeah, be so good they can't ignore you. If you outperform, uh, you're not only making it easier for yourself to be allowed to the space to be who you are, but also you are making it easier for the next diverse kid.
Oh, 100%. I had so much, I mean, I had so much going against me. You know, I did not have the educational background. You know,
It's
I
mind-boggling.
looked the way I did. I'm
Mhm.
queer. I had to work 10 times harder and be 10 times smarter than the next guy that just showed up.
Yep.
Pale,
No,
male, and straight.
this
I mean,
is
that's, you know, and to even resonate. But I did, and I have. And I would encourage them, continue to increase your skills, be irreplaceable,
are,
be unique.
are there any books, courses, TED Talks, I don't know, whatever resources we can give the audience So for the leadership, like the first thing I think of is how to be an anti-racist. But for the kids in the audience, any resources that I think that you were uh overly smart and overly brave from the factory. Like it just came. It was just like my girlfriend. That's just the way she was born. But are there any resources that you ran into along the way that could be helpful for people on how to fight those fights and how to prepare to fight those fights?
I wish I had a really eloquent, book to send you. For me, it has been really understanding the stories of those that have come before me.
Mm-hmm.
And I read a lot of sales books.
Okay.
I read a
Mm-hmm.
lot about the psychology of sales. Influence was a book that really changed
Cialdini.
my life. Yeah,
Yes.
understanding
Oh,
understanding the rule of
it's one of my
reciprocity and
favorites.
being in equitable relationships, and that applies to business. But when it comes to that, I would say that I've learned the most just from hearing other people's stories and understanding where they've come from. But now that you say that, I want to read more books. I want to know that so I can pass that on.
So
It's
hey,
hard to share the stories.
audience, if you're listening to this, I don't know, Amy Waninger or Rita or just anybody in the audience, if you're listening to this and there are books that would be helpful to people fighting this fight, let me know and we'll add them to the end of the video. Please let's, and I'll let Jessica know.
Yeah.
uh I I'm speechless, and I am very rarely speechless. This has been really, really, really awesome. I'm so glad we connected. Uh, I I don't know if you know this yet, but you're gonna be big. And I'm glad that connected with you fairly early on. You still have a significant amount of time left in your working life, hopefully. Uh, Thank you for coming on the podcast, and an absolute pleasure to have you. I really do hope that this is an inspiration to all the kids and I know they're there because
Oh,
I
yeah.
I I run into them at the conferences, or I run into them in agency visits and in carrier visits and uh now nowadays when I run into them, I'm gonna hand them a checkout. Hey, I run a podcast. Check out episode 158 or whatever number we end up being, because really, uh, I think it'll be really helpful.
Well, I'm pleased, and I just to say to any of them, I would say this also: reach out to me. I mean, my LinkedIn, Jessica Chitwood Long, president of Commercial Insurance Partner. I am 100% willing, able, welcoming to anyone who is facing discrimination or needs to talk through it, or I don't know where to go from here. That is the least that I can do in this world to make it a better place and leave it a better place for my daughter and her daughter. This is why we're here. This is why we do this.
Awesome.
We can make money. People that are good at sales, we can making
Yeah,
money
yeah.
is the
If you can
easiest thing
sell, you
we've
can
ever done,
sell.
right?
Uh,
Making the world a better place when we leave, and making this industry a better place. Now that's a passion project.
Thank you. I will include the link to your LinkedIn in the show notes and to your company. An absolute pleasure, Jessica. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.